make.
But yeah, so developers are hold on. I actually went to the news story that I moved to. Developers are abandoning the Xbox, and hey, companies are abandoning developers, as it
Yeah.
seems.
More than a quarter of devs surveyed by GDC were laid off in the past 2 years, and half of them don't have a new job.
Yeah, so 17% said they were laid off in the past 12 months. 11 said the last 12 months before that. And then when limited just to US respondents, 33% of developers. So the reasons the company gave, 43% was company restructuring, which let me translate that to you. We really, really, really overhired during COVID because we thought the COVID boom would last forever because we're short-sighted and fucking stupid.
I kept
Uh,
putting money into the slot machine because I thought that you always get jackpots.
yes. Budget cuts, once again, COVID. Market conditions, once again, COVID. Project canceled. Okay, not necessarily COVID, just bad management. Strategic,
Well, also a little COVID.
yeah.
A lot of
Strategic,
projects started because they thought, well, COVID's got everybody playing video games. Everybody plays video games now.
yep.
We need to get more games. And then they were
No
like,
one,
we don't need that many games.
no one will go outside ever again.
They're done. They're done with the
Uh,
outside.
yes. So, yes. Let's see. Then strategic direction change. This not necessarily COVID. COVID a factor, but also could be Sony pivoted from live service back to single player. Microsoft pivoted from fucking making video games to doing nothing.
I think
Um,
strategic direction change is the same as company restructuring, except they released stuff, right? It's all right, we're changing our strategic direction because the overhiring we did for COVID, we got games out of it and they aren't performing well.
yep. Um, so 8% project completion. I mean, that's fine. Hey, like, I am currently going to be working on a contract job like that. Once the project's done, the project's done. You know,
Right.
it
Well,
is
I'll
what it
say it's
is.
a bit different for video games than usual because a lot of companies like Microsoft, for example,
Mhm.
are like filling their teams with a ton of contract people so that
Yes,
they don't have to deal with like difficulty of
benefits.
letting go of them and benefits. There's a lot of work for hire going on in video games right now.
Um, Number six, merger acquisition. So, you know, that a lot of that happened when like a lot of the people at Microsoft and or Blizzard got let go when that acquisition happened. Automation AI, yep, that's not surprising. Tariffs are rising as operational costs, 4%. Other 6%. And my favorite one, no reason given, 7%.
Oh yeah.
Just love that. Just show up to work one day. Sorry.
I bet that 7% of respondents is 100% American respondents.
Forget about it.
Yeah.
So, um, so some comments from developers. Leadership failed to see the COVID era boom was not permanent. Company went on an acquisition spree before being acquired. A senior programmer in India said now money is a lot tighter because the goldfish with the money wanted the returns yesterday, so they can funnel it into the current fad, generative AI.
It's true.
Yes, yes. Executives who have never actually worked as dev are pulling up the boards on their ship, throwing people overboard, and expecting these scuttled ghost ships to keep making them infinite money. Uh, bu- 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 Let's see. The situation also affects future developers, as the responses by more than 100 educators who were surveyed, 60% said they expected current economic and industry climate to have an impact on how many of their students would get a job in the industry, while 27% said they'd already seen an impact. Only 2% said they didn't foresee an impact. There aren't any jobs, one game design student in California responded. Everyone's getting fired. It's fucked. Game developer Farhan Noor, who's been tracking industry job cuts since 2022, estimates that around 8,500 workers were laid off in 2022. 2,523, 14,624, 5,300 in 2025. Um, yeah, so I guess where my mind goes with this is how long until the COVID recovery stuff is over? And this goes
Uh,
back to business as usual.
15 to 20 years.
Really?
15 to 20 years because COVID was video games being extra inflated like a balloon, right?
Yeah,
It was a
it
bubble.
was a bubble. It was a bubble.
It was a bubble, and the bubble popped the instant that people played fewer video games. It wasn't just
Yeah.
a bubble; it was a sensitive bubble, right? And the consequence of that is that a ton of developers entered the industry and got experience, right?
Hmm.
And now we're going back to a more sensible number of people making and playing video games. And that means that we now have a ton of devs who have good experience who can't get hired in the industry because their job shouldn't have ever existed. It just shouldn't have existed. They never should have gotten into the games industry, basically.
But
For a
that
number of these people, which kind of sucks to say, but that's the truth. Is that the jobs that they got weren't supposed to be there, and there wasn't supposed to be this much room for these many developers. So now the industry is going to shrink to have like 20% of developers not possible for them to go. If everybody had full staffing, like 20 to 30% of all developers would have no job, and that puts us in a position where it's going to be terrible coming out of school because every single person that is applying for every position is going to have more experience than you, which means that you aren't going to be able to get a job to become a game dev after going to school for being a game dev, or you're going to get a really shitty job. And we're going to be dealing with the consequences of that situation, leading to fewer developers coming into existence for like 15 to 20
well,
years.
first off, thank you, Blasian, for the sub, my duder.
I
Uh,
very appreciate it.
yeah, thank you. But I also think that it does create another problem where it's not just like bad or entry level developers. It's like experienced people. You know, Greg Mayles was at Rare for 40 years.
Right.
Um, and the problem that I see out of this is you're losing a lot of people who are talented, and you're
Mhm.
losing a lot of people who are beneficial to the industry. You're getting a brain drain, and it's going to harm at least the AAA space for years and years and years to come. You think about like a lot of Japanese developers, right? You look at Nintendo, you
Right.
look at From Software, you look at Capcom. A lot of those dudes have been there for 30 fucking years and are like imparting those lessons onto their younger staff. And they're making these incredible experiences. You look at a
Right.
game like Tears of the Kingdom, or you look at a game like Elden Ring, and like that is like 30 years of experience just in the making, 40 years in the making.
Right.
And I fear that Western game dev, especially in the US, is not going to have that. And it's just going to make Western game dev less interesting, less competitive, less viable in the
I'm gonna be
long
honest.
term.
I don't know if I agree. I think
In the
that
AAA
we're
space, I do
in the
want
AAA
to, yeah,
space maybe.
yes. I
Uh,
think a lot of those devs are going to go make indie games, which will be
Well, for
great.
sure, for sure. I think that the real consequence of this is that this is the birth of the indie generation, even more so than it already has been, right? Obviously, things like Steam and stuff have kind of paved the way for people being able to just be indie devs and that being a much more viable career prospect. But in fact, there was a great video I watched a while ago that was a guy making he made an indie game and he said here's why even your shitty unsuccessful indie game can pay off your college loans uh and he made a game that had 3,000 players and 3,000 players at $10 a pop, that's a lot of money.
You're getting 3,000 players times $7 because Steam takes their cut.
Yep. And
No,
all of
and
a sudden you have $21,000, and that's a really meaningful amount of money.
but then you have a problem of like a million indie games come out every day. I mean, go look at the Steam new releases chart, and you're like, how much of this shit is actually good? How much of it have you actually heard of?
The thing
How
is,
much?
I think that this is much more a consumer problem than it is a developer problem. It is
Well,
certainly a developer problem. Like
I,
they have to compete with all of this slop. I think that bespoke made indie games are a lot more capable of drawing in players than it would feel on account of the fact that that they aren't slop. I think fewer games that are just that aren't like quickly made, poorly made turnaround stuff are being released than we really think are. I think that the
and
statistics are
sure,
kind of being blown up,
I
and
finally
that
played this game called Sectori this week. I'm gonna let
Mhm.
you've been playing because I didn't play enough to really fully talk about it. But it's at least from what I've played so far, a brilliant dual stick shooter. I'm the only one on my friends list who's touched the damn thing or even knows about it
Right.
probably.
Yeah.
But like that is a problem. And I think the other issue I see, and this was brought up by I listened to Jeff's podcast, is like a lot of these people are just leaving because he has a lot more contacts than I do. Like
Mhm.
I have like 5 or 10 contacts I keep in touch with from the olden days. But
Right.
but like he has significantly more. And the big thing that he is saying is like a lot of those people are just going to go work in other industries because they need
Yeah, for
health
sure.
insurance and they need to
Uh,
pay bills consistently. And
yeah,
that
but the
is
reason I don't think that we are actually going to experience the expected level of brain drain, we're gonna have, I think, that generation of like the 30 to 40 year super devs, because like video games aren't smaller than they used to be, right? We still have more devs than existed in the generation those people came from. Uh, and those people will still get experience. Those people will still become incredible devs that make great things. And there's going to be more of them than there used to be because there's more developers. I just think that uh, I think that we're losing a lot of talent that could have been that. We could have ended up with a much larger batch of great creators that came out of this generation of developers that don't get to do that because uh their position kind of stopped existing. And that
and
sucks. But
and
I don't think that we're going to find ourselves in a situation where we're lacking talent. I think that uh I think that the problem that's going to lead to a result of lacking talent is going to be a much more delayed effect than it would seem, because what we're going to get is we're going to get it being harder for people to join the games industry, period, because there is too many experienced developers competing with them for the jobs, and we're going to get a brain drain from lack of entry. The degrees are going to become less popular, the career path is going to become less popular, and all of a sudden, you know uh like I said, like 15 years from now, there's going to be a wave of like people who should be at 30 years in their career, should be at uh or should be at their 15 year, that
mm,
aren't, and
yeah,
we're going to
and
have this empty generation of people who never got to become game
eh,
developers in the first place, because
mhm.
every single job had people with 3 to 5 years of experience applying
Well,
for it. And so why would they ever hire a new developer
and
when
the answer
there's
that
30 experienced developers available for the same job?
in that case, it's largely because the experienced developer is going to be more expensive typically. But even then, developers
But
within
they're
the
not.
game,
They're not more expensive because they don't have a job, and they're
uh,
willing to take shittier pay because of shittier conditions. If
yeah,
they
and
really want to be, I mean, there's obviously the passion tax is always a thing in this
that is
industry. But the problem with everybody getting laid off like this is that they're all looking for
That's
jobs,
true.
and now people hiring get to lower the wages for experienced positions, and they can start going, oh, we can hire experienced people for our entry levels, and they're going to start putting 2 years required for what would have before been a full entry level, and we're going to get a bunch of people who never got to enter the industry, and they just entered normal software dev, and this will be compensated for to some extent by people who entered indie. Uh, there's going to be a lot of developers. I think AAA is going to be eventually staffed exclusively with people who built their own portfolio. Like it's going to be the death of the I went to college for game dev and I came out with a game dev degree and then I got a job in game dev and then and I
I
followed a
stayed at
traditional
fucking
path.
yeah, like, and I think that also does create its own problem though, because you don't get like situations like Ferrata, right? Like I know that's another Japanese dev, but where it's just
Yes.
like homie worked his way through the ranks of Namco and then became the evangelist and god of Tekken. You know,
Right.
like, and
And I think that you're only gonna see the dead Haratas 15 to 20 years from now.
yeah, and I think that sucks because that
Does
is
suck.
a because I think that when you iterate on a city series for that long, you get very interesting results out of it, and you get people who know exactly what that series is and
Yeah.
exactly how to craft that experience in a way that feels unique but also true to the experience.
It's also gonna
And
mean that AAA games are coming out just blander.
yeah, that too.
There are
I'm
fewer people that they can like give a shot to make something crazy.
and
And that's how you get those people. That's how you get the great creators is you give them a budget and you say, "All right, you're clearly good. Whatever you got in mind." And you let them do it.
and I think that's a real bummer because like I think a lot of the best games I've ever played were and a lot of the best series were a lot of that where it's just like, hey, we're gonna give this this talent in house a chance at making something cool, right?
Yeah.
Like where that's how you get Devil May Cry, Resident Evil. That's how you get that's how you get all kinds of different games, and it's unfortunate to see at least in the Western space that go away. Like to see stuff like yes, we're getting a new Fable, but to see the original Fable creator get like bounced 10 years ago and not really
Right.
do anything after, like it's a bummer. And I always think about that because like I said, I'm a big fan of Nintendo games. Like to see the just to like play those games through the 40 years of their history and see how they develop because they've had at minimum a lot of the same core people work on them and improve
Yeah.
them and refine them, or even just completely overhaul them like in Breath of the Wild. And it sucks that, and yeah, that, and the blander thing is the thing that Anthony and I have discussed for 2 years now, where a lot of AAA is getting blander. It's a lot of the same
Yeah.
combat systems, a lot of like I'm not gonna spoil too much of what I've been playing, but I've been playing Mafia: The Old Country, the past part of the past week and a half, and it is very much like what you would expect from that kind of experience.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know,
how many fucking games have come out that just the combat is like Batman Arkham Asylum, right? Like like or like pseudo Souls likey. Like games are they're just becoming very similar.
right? Like I cannot tell you how many games I have played in the past year that have had a Souls-like combat system.
Right.
Like the stamina bar, the block, parry, dodge, like the like just everything. Or have had, like you said, the Arkham Asylum. And occasionally they do unique or fun stuff with it. Like I thought Spider-Man did some unique, fresh stuff with the Arkham combat. And
Everybody's doing their own take. Everybody's making it interesting. They're talented game devs. They're making it a good game. It wouldn't be if it was out of the box Arkham combat, right? But at the end of the day, it's not a new
yeah,
kind of combat.
yeah,
It's
it's
not it's maybe an interesting take, but you could see the roots very clearly.
like which
And
to
especially in AAA, I think AAA particularly is getting like more. it's funneling down into like we can make four kinds of games.
And that's such a bummer because, like, I think back to like even the 360 era of AAA, and like you had a lot of fresh stuff going on. You know, Viva Pinata got made in that generation, Puppeteer, Mass Effect. Like you had a lot more like taking swings at shit, and the PS2 especially. Like you look at the PS2, you know. I know like
And
Katamari
it doesn't
Damacy is a
always land.
franchise now, but back then
Yeah,
Katamari Damacy was fucking crazy.
doesn't always land. Like Mass Effect combat fucking
Yeah.
sucks.
Yes, yes, it does. You know, but yeah, it's just a bummer to see. I don't know. I think that I also think that a lot of people in this space are gonna be like, fuck this, I can make a million times more money going to Salesforce, and fuck you and your passion tax and all this other bullshit.
Yeah,
But that's, you know,
yeah. I mean, that'll certainly happen. And after this 15 to 20 year consequence occurs, we're gonna get the reverse. It rebounds.
yep.
But the reason I don't have an issue as we might think is I'd say just remember that like the incredible and influential developers that exist today
Mhm.
came up in a smaller, shittier, less professional games industry.
Yes. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and and no matter what happens, games are going to be bigger. They're going to be there's going to be more people in them. There are going to be more opportunities. There just is.
I
Uh,
I
even if a lot of them are going away now, they're not. We're not shrinking back to the size of when Kojima entered the industry.
I do think that especially I think game dev will get a little cheaper in the future because I feel like we've really plateaued graphically. Like I
Yeah,
think that I think you can make an argument that handhelds haven't plateaued. Like I think you could still get a little more out of handhelds, but like especially for console and PC, it's like I feel like you can do one more console generation just to get better upscaling support. But like otherwise, I don't know, most PS5 games look and run fine, especially if you're
I, I
wanting
think
to.
that I think that people that make engines are getting to the point where Unreal 6 when it comes out, right?
Mhm.
Uh, it's not going to be able to look much better than Unreal 5.
No,
They're just
like,
not going to be able to do it.
like I've been playing Mafia: The Old Country, and like I'm running it, 1440p native on a 5080, and like you could make the arguments like, well, we still can't really do native 4K in most games at like really good settings. It's like, yeah, dog, but you check the Steam hardware survey, and most people aren't running in 4K, and if you're playing on a console, you're probably anywhere from 5 to 6 feet away from the TV, where the fucking problems of FSR and DLSS and PSSR aren't as big of a deal. You don't
Yeah,
notice some of the imperfections at that distance.
I think Unreal 6 is going to be hey, this is Unreal 5, but it's way easier to make your game look good.
I don't even think it might be that. I think it's like it's Unreal 5, but it's a lot better optimized because we
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
trimmed out
That's
a
what
lot
I
of
mean.
shit.
Well, no, I think optimization is going to be there. I think it's going to be less of a focus than like
Mhm.
literally just ease of tools. I think that I mean, because the game industry doesn't fucking care about how optimized their game is. If it fucking runs, it runs. That's like actually where most devs are, right? It's why you get it's why you get your compression slop, where everything is like 180 gigabytes, because they don't fucking care that it takes up 180 gigabytes. You fucking deal with that, right? They care that it runs and that it looks nice, right? And they want to do that for as cheap as
But
possible. So I
but the
think that the
problem
future of making game dev tools is you're not going to be able to advertise yourself on being the better experience. So you're going to be able to advertise yourself on being the same experience for cheaper. Uh, and I think that's the direction that people who are making engines are
now
going to go.
what I would say though is like I think the customer does care about the optimizations and the like running at 60 with no stutters. And
Yeah, yeah,
I
and I
think that
but
Monster Hunter Wilds last year proved that to me. And
yes,
like
but I think that the tools that are coming out aren't going to go they're just gonna be like, here, let's make it easier for you to do that. Let's make it cheaper for you to do that. That's what it's all gonna be about.
Yeah,
Uh,
yes, I think because like Unreal has a notorious stutter issue, and like I've had issues with
right.
Unreal in certain games just wanting to fucking crash randomly. It's Unreal 5 has really been a real goddamn mess compared to
Yeah, it
3 and
has.
4. It
Yeah,
like
and so I think,
mm,
it's gonna be all right. We look the same, but we run better, and it's easier to make assets, and it's easier to do all this, and it's gonna save you time. It's gonna save you money. Uh, and then I don't think. Listen, I don't think they're gonna optimize their games. I think that they're gonna spend less time on optimization and leave them about as optimized as they are now.
that's so wildly depressing because it feels like every game that I play nowadays, outside of like very niche games, Japanese games and indie games, is super bloated mess in terms of AAA third party. Like so the
Yeah.
first party is like Sony and Nintendo are doing fine, but like Borderlands 4 optimized like trash.
Oh yeah.
Fucking
Played horrible.
Mafia the Old Country looks amazing, but it does not look good enough to justify how hard it runs on a really nice computer. I think back to the PC version of Madden in particular, but even the console version of Madden, like it runs at 60, but it loves to crash and stutter.
Right.
Like I just think of all these AAA stories of certain games just that use Unreal specifically that just run like ass. And it doesn't need to be that way because I'm playing Marvel Rivals in Unreal Engine at 120 frames per second. I'm playing goddamn Battlefield 6 at 120 frames per second. I'm like
Hey man,
playing.
get ready to not hit 60 on that Halo remake.
Oh yeah, no, that's gonna run like trash. I guarantee you, it's gonna run like trash. It's gonna like uh, I want to do a co-op run with people, like lots of people, but like it's gonna run like shit, guaranteed.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but yeah, so game dev in a weird state now. Uh, that's what I would say is if you are looking to get into game dev now, I'm not going to dissuade you from going to school for it. I am going to tell you be prepared to pivot into general software dev or art or whatever your field of game dev is in another segment of the world.
You know, I think I will dissuade you. Get the degree if you think games might not work out, and then you'll have a bachelor's degree. But otherwise,
Yes.
go make something. Go make
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. Like,
That's clearly from everything I've heard from game devs. The biggest benefit you can get to your career and to your creativity is to have made something, and hey, maybe it'll pay off your student loans, right?
yeah,
You might release it. Somebody retweets a trailer you make, and you get 1,000 players for your $5 game, and you have fucking
like,
you've got 3 grand now. That's
yeah,
3 grand you wouldn't have had.
and then yeah, so I think that, and then if you're really like I really do want to work for AAA because some people do, some people they want to work on a project like a Mass Effect, a Ghost of Tsushima, etc. Um, I have a friend who she graduated high school, she went to DigiPen, she got a job with ANet, and then ended up on the Ghost of Tsushima and now Ghost of Yote teams. I think that path is going to be harder than ever. If you do want to take that path, I would definitely do what she did, in which you go to a school specifically with game design in mind, so you can network your ass off. Because she went up
And
to,
maybe go to one of those schools that's partnered with a company that is like, we
she went,
pull fresh devs out and
yep,
we put them in.
she went to DigiPen, and at DigiPen, she was able to network with developers in the surrounding Seattle area.
Because it
So,
is very much a who you know what not what you know situation.
yeah, like you need to be competent, but like and I unfortunately feel for a lot of workplaces, that can be the case. Like It's unfortunate, but getting a referral is a huge deal. It always is.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got another news story. This one's happier news than the last story. Apparently, this thing went to break.
Tomodachi Life.
Tomodachi Life.